Let's take a look at software detailed design specifications in Formwork. So as a quick reminder, when the hell do you need software detailed design? The short answer is, if you probably are asking this question, you probably don't need it, because software detailed design is only required for a very small subset of medical device software. In short, if you're in the EU, you only need that if you're an IEC 60304 Class C software. So there are classes A, B, and C. These have nothing to do with the actual MDR classes. Those are like different classes, but instead you have the software safety classes in the software development standard. There's IEC 60304, and that defines 3 different software safety classes, A, B, and C. And you only need it for C, and generally speaking, most startups are not C. And you also need it if you're going for US FDA approval, because they seem to be a bit different regarding software specifications. And generally speaking, I think you generally need it for the FDA. My FDA knowledge is kind of limited, so I just kind of like say you probably need it because I haven't seen a submission yet which didn't have it. All right, let's look at how you can actually implement this in Formwork and how Formwork makes your life super easy when you actually need to document this. So you log into Formwork, and we actually don't want to look at the QMS section here because we want to do tech doc stuff. And I'm already in a product here in the Apple Watch product, but just like FYI, if you aren't in one yet, you should probably open one. Yeah, I'll just open this to make this less confusing. And it's extremely simple. You have the software detail design section underneath the software requirements section based on when you created your product. Some of these might be named differently, like in newer products, software requirements are actually called design inputs. And then you kind of can think of it like a relation, I guess, like in a SQL database, you have like a stakeholder, which is like related to many stakeholder requirements. So those are kind of like your user needs. Then a stakeholder requirement might be related to many software requirements, and a software requirement might be related to many software detailed designs. So if we look at a few software requirements, and here we have this super cool software system view coded by my colleague Ale, who's like this, one of our 2 in-house geniuses. And you could see like one of the software requirements, for example, is like, okay, the UI is green, like genius software requirement. Okay, and now you want to create a software detail design requirement for that. So that kind of like goes more into detail into how you actually implemented that. I guess like the usefulness of documenting this sort of stuff is you could question that, but I'm not gonna question it in today's video. So yeah, you go to software detailed designs, you have like an empty list of stuff, which makes sense. Gonna create a new one here. It's already gonna assign a ID for it, and then we'll say like it was the UI screen thing, and then like, I don't know, set, what's the hex code for green? I'm just guessing. This is likely super wrong. It's also the wrong number, right? Okay, as background color or whatever, and I don't know, in CSS code, this is terrible. And like blah, 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 here you go into detail, and kind of like pretend you had this waterfall design process where you document all these specs, right? Because your developers are obviously so stupid that you have to spec stuff out in this detail. All right, when you're done with that, you save this, and you're done. And that's it. That's software detail design and Formwork. Maybe important to notice, these are many-to-many relations, as you already saw. So you can see one software detail design thing might be related to many software requirements, and vice versa. One software requirement might be related to many software detail designs. This gives you a lot of flexibility, because in theory, you could have one detail design which covers most of your software requirements, even though that doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, so, and all of that, of course, is covered too in our audit export. So if you want to generate spreadsheets from that and export that for your audit hand, and you get all of that, and the software detail designs are included in that as well. Now again, the huge caveat is you probably don't need this in general, and to kind of like keep Formwork simple and not confuse like users with the compliance, which is already terrible and complex enough, is when you set up a new product, you actually assign the IEC 60304 software safety classification, which I mentioned earlier. So you only get the detail design if you actually have a safety class C, You can kind of like see, okay, what happens if we set this to B, and now the detailed designs have disappeared, which makes a lot of sense because again, it's not a regulatory requirement. And generally speaking, if you don't have a regulatory requirement, there's really no added benefit in fulfilling it. So again, yeah, so set this back to C. So now we can do detailed designs. And that's it. So good luck documenting your detailed designs. I hope for you that you are not Class C and you don't have to do that. But if you have to do it, I think Formwork has you covered.